What is up, NorCal? It is Monday. We are back for June already. So it is June 9th, 2025. It's NorCal Mondays. Quick shout out. We are going to be talking about Formula KFX. So that's going to be the main portion of the show. But we're going to go over the calendar really quick before we start. Shout out to all of the challenge team that's going to be traveling to Utah this weekend. Can't wait to see you all. But Challenge of the Americas will be in Utah this weekend, and we are going to be having the inaugural Briggs shootout that's going to involve some money as well. Go. So that is going to be involving some money as well. You can find all that info, challengekarting.com, and we'll see everybody there this weekend. Also shouting out during the summer, CCKRA, Central California Kart Racing Association, we'll be having our Summer Heat Classic Race 2. So we just got done with Race 1. We'll be having Race 2 June 28th through 29th. It is a one-day event, so it'll be 29th is the race day. But the Summer Heat Classic Championship is just for the summer. So it'll be 3 races, a separate championship in addition to our year-long championship. So if you're not racing with us year-long, you do still have a chance to win the Summer Heat Classic Championship. So, and the weather was super nice in Santa Maria. All 3 races will be in Santa Maria, and closing out with the Colby Dubato Memorial in August. That same weekend, the only other place that you can be is Rock Sonoma for Triple Crown 1 Race 3. Same weekend, June 28th through 30th. I don't know if I got those dates right, but June, that same weekend, the 28th, 29th weekend, Rock Sonoma, Triple Crown 1, Race 3. I do know that they're going to be giving away some prizes, and that is the finale for the first Triple Crown. So, Rock Sonoma, CCKRA, same weekend. Our friends KPX, they were just at Blue Max over the weekend, and Josh is going to get on, maybe talk a little bit about that. But the next race that we're all getting ready for is KPX in Reno. So that'll be July 11th through 13th, same format as they did in Davis. But this time we're going to Reno, and it will be my birthday, so I expect to see a lot of people there. Next
Also, that same weekend, NCK Road Racing, all my road racers are going to be at Thunderhill Raceway for their race weekend. So lots of stuff happening in the summer, lots of things on the same weekends, but plenty of racing going on in NorCal on the West Coast. So I'm going to bring Josh on. Josh, you can unmute so you can talk a little bit about KPX, and then we will get started.
So yeah, as Ashley mentioned, we just had KPX this past weekend in Davis. I want to give all those guys a special shout out and all my fellow racers that I said I was going to be there. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I apologize. I had to work. So I do want to get that out of the way, but I did want to give a couple shout outs first and foremost to the staff. All the people that were out there race directing and in the sun both days, Saturday and Sunday. Looked like it was a good event. I followed all weekend. You had Barry Barnwell up there on the announcer deck. Broadcast was pretty good. I loved it. I want to give a shout out to all the winners, Colby Romero, Bowden Barnwell, I believe Tyler Luttrell, I believe is his name. Won Junior 2 both days. I know Jake Luttrell won Junior 1 one day. Jason Gill, local from CCKRA. Shout out to him. So he actually won Sunday. Good for him. Good breakout win for him. So that was cool to see. Just wanted to touch on that. We are going to Challenge of the Americas this weekend for the third. What is it?
Finale.
The finale, I guess. This is what 5th and 6th rounds now for the first time ever. So I'm looking forward to that. There is going to be Briggs racing this weekend, so that'll be fun to watch. I'll be up on the tower or up on the ladder somewhere watching some Briggs racing. I'm a Briggs racer myself, so I'll definitely be watching closely and keeping an eye on it all because I know where you can and cannot put a go-kart in a Briggs go-kart. Pretty sure I've done it all. With that, I think I'm pretty set.
All right. So we do see that people are on. Put it in the comments if you're joining us. Say what's up. Tell us if you were at KPX. Tell us if you were at CCKRA or Rock Sonoma, or if you are going to challenge this weekend. We see that people are here, so put it in the comments so we know who's watching.
Pretty sure there's money on the line. So
what?
Money on the line at Challenge this weekend. So
yeah, the first Briggs shootout that's happening, and we have people that were already in Utah. All right. Getting ahead of it, getting ahead of the game. I'm with it.
Aggie already, dude. He's a Davis native, though, man. He used to be the dude back in the day in Yamahas in Davis.
I know the name looks familiar to me.
He raced for a long time.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying he raced for a long time in NorCal.
Oh, we got Robert Ritter.
Yeah, I hope little man is getting better. I haven't seen any updates. I've been watching your guys' story. I do want to give a shout out to little Chase. He did hurt himself on a trampoline, but he's resilient. He's getting after it. I'm sure it won't be long before we see him back in his go-kart. So,
yeah.
Shout out to them.
He's big mad that he's missing it. Yeah, see, I knew the name was familiar. Off and on for many years. Great to be back karting. I love that. All right, so tonight's episode, we are going to be highlighting the new development on the West Coast, which is the launch of the Rotax Racing Club in California, which will be called Formula KFX. So we got KPX and KFX. So let's see how many times that I can keep that straight. But joining us tonight, we have Philip Pegler, and he is in charge of bringing this new Arrive and Drive series to NorCal. It's Rotax back. It's a Rotax backed series. So you'll see a lot of stuff on the Rotax social media, as well as the Formula KFX social media. So you can find them on Facebook, follow them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram. And the so the series will feature Birel ART chassis and Rotax 125 Evo engines, and it's an arrive and drive format. I'm going to let Philip come on, and he's going to explain a little bit more about that. The classes that will be available, there's going to be a junior division for 12 to 14, a senior division, which is 15 plus, and then a master's division, which is 32 plus. So I'm going to bring on Philip right now so he can tell us a little bit more about it and the first event that's going to be happening at Sonoma. So put it in the comments if you're here. We see people are here. So put it in the comments. Any questions? Let us know where you're racing this weekend. Let us know where you've been racing, and we'll put your comments up on the screen. Coming in is Philip Pegler. Here we go. Hey, Philip.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So we got Formula KFX. We got the launch. The first launch is going to be August 16th at Sonoma Raceway. So tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into, how you got roped in with Rotax and the Birel ART chassis and all that stuff.
Well, thank you again. Thanks for having me this evening. Yeah, it's really exciting. We're getting ready to launch on August the 16th. It's been a long process. It started back in 2012, so it's been a long road to get here. My background is that I have always loved motorsports. I raced karts in Florida. I started in about 2006, so I was in my 30s when I started, and raced in Ocala, and then I raced in a group called Club 100 in the UK, which is basically, this is an American version of that Club 100 championship. And Club 100 is a arrive and drive series. It's been on the go since 1993, so they've got a long history, and they've become the world's largest arrive and drive karting championship, and I think they're actually the largest kart club in the world as well. So
That's right.
yeah, so it was through them that I met Ronnie Sala of Birel. When I had been living in the UK, I wanted to come back to live in the US, which is where my family are, and I wanted to do something to give back to motorsports. I've loved motorsports my whole life and started really late, really too late to have any kind of serious driving career. So I've just been sort of an enthusiast club racer. And I talked with the Club 100 guys about bringing Easy Kart back to the US, which is, of course, the owner-driver. It's a very similar idea, actually, but as you know, it's a spec chassis, spec engine. And it had been launched in Florida early 2000s and had sort of gone dead. And I wanted to see if I could bring it back here in California. So we did a lot of research, and I decided it wasn't the right thing to do. So at the time, but I met with Ronnie Sala at Birel, and we talked about other opportunities. When I moved here in 2014, I met Chris and Kenny of KPX, and originally KPX was a concept that I'd had with Ronnie Sala for Easy Kart. And when that didn't materialize, I met Chris and Kenny, who had the West Coast Briggs group, and Dave Klaus and Dan Pellizzari, and they all put their heads together, and they came up with the KPX Karting Championship. So I gave them the name and helped them start it off a little bit, and then they've just done this amazing job over the last decade, you know, bringing that to the owner drivers. So that's sort of where I branched off, and I went back to Ronnie and John Viger of Club 100, and we started putting this together. So really 3 years ago, we really started to plan seriously. So that's the long backstory to it. In short, it's very, very similar to what Club 100 is. And, you know, I talked with Rotax about it last year in depth, and finally I got the promotional rights, which is that's a license agreement for US. So we're going to start in California, and it's modeled on that Club 100 Sprint Kart Championship.
That's cool.
So that's the long version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know most of it, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Guys.
All right. So so we talked, well, I mentioned a little bit about the classes, but how are the classes going to be split up? Is it going to be a 1-day event, 2-day event? Like what's the format looking like for these Formula KFX race
Okay,
days?
so because we're starting off mid-season this year, it's sort of like a small mini season. It's really, we're going to have the first round in September. So it's September, October, November, and December, roughly a month apart. And I decided to base it just at one place. So Sonoma Raceway was really the ideal venue to start with. And so basically I wanted to start it small. So the idea is that the juniors and seniors use the same chassis as they do in regular karting, traditional karting. And so I bought a fleet of karts and got the engines from Rotax, and they've been prepared. You know, the package is a junior package. The engine package is a junior, so it's without the power valve. And actually, it's slightly restricted. There's a little bit of a restrictor in the exhaust, and there's also a slight restrictor in the carburetor, just to take the top end off. And it also preserves the life of the karts, you know, and it makes the engine maintenance much less. So that's very important as well. And I wanted to keep things under control for, you know, certainly the new drivers coming in who maybe don't have as much experience. You know, that it's not going to be where they're in over their heads. You know, we're going to have hopefully a wide range of driving experience in the field. So that's for the package part. So far as the classes, we've got a senior class, which is from 15 and up, and a junior class, which is 12 to 14. And there's a bit of a crossover, you know, I mean, a more developed junior may be eligible to go into seniors at 14, and vice versa. The seniors who are petite or smaller bodied senior could stay in the juniors a little longer.
Okay.
You know? So there's a bit of a crossover there at 14 and 15. And later we're going to add the cadets as well. So that'll be, you know, down to 7 or 8 up to 11 years old. And that'll be on the N32, but I'm not going to do that yet, but that's in the pipeline.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the format is, these are Saturday events this year. And, you know, I expect it to be, the format I put together is really for very similar to the feature race days that we're going to do. Practice, qualify, pre-final, final. It'll be for the juniors, and then the same thing for the seniors, and the same thing for the masters. And they'll rotate as you would have at a regular event.
Okay.
So one day.
So basically, you'll come in and you'll have what you'll call like some sort of driver's check-in, and then a briefing.
That's
and
right.
Then I'm assuming some sort of weigh-in, because what I understand is there is ballast for the go-karts to make them even between the drivers. So
right.
I know being, you know, competitive as we all are, I think that's something that people need to realize too, is there is ballast offset on the go-kart that you're going to be able to, so everyone will weigh in, and then you'll be, you know, separated and assigned a go-kart, and then basically designated your ballast that you keep with you throughout the day.
That's correct. So basically you arrive and you register for the event. When you arrive, you sign in, and then you'll go to do a track walk and then have a formal driver's briefing.
Okay.
After that, the first group will go out to do practice. So they'll have their weigh-in. After the driver's briefing, they'll go and be weighed. And all the karts are identical. So the drivers will be in their classes, whichever one they're going to be in. They'll be weighed. So it's driver suit, helmet, glove, the usual. It's whatever you wear to get in the kart. If you have a seat insert, that you take that with you onto the scale as well. And then you'll know how much ballast you will need to add to the kart to bring it to minimum weight, racing weight, basically. And then you keep all of that for the day.
Okay.
You don't keep the same kart. So you're in the kart to go and practice. Practice and qualifying is 15 minutes. So you'll go out, practice for 10 minutes, and then the track, you'll stay on track and it will go green with a 5-minute countdown for qualifying. So you've been on the track, got some rhythm going, got a feel for the kart, got the kart ready, and then you'll have the last 5 minutes of green flag to do qualifying. And they'll be out of the kart, and then the next group will get in, and then so on. It'll go on like that.
Okay, so basically you'll go out for your morning warm up, you'll come in, and you're not assigned the same kart?
No, because they'll get all shuffled up. So, the next group will go out and do their practice and qualifying, and then the third group will go out and do it. And then when you get back in, they've all been shuffled. So you'll get in the karts, whatever they are on the grid will be where you get in for your starting position. So if you qualified on pole, whatever kart's the front, that's the one you get. So you go back to the kart, you pop your seat insert in, you put your ballast on, you put the transponder in, and the number plate, you click it on the front. It's very easy. Sounds like a lot, but actually it's really not once you're doing it. And you're in the kart, you do the race, and then when you're done, you're out. And then the first 3 karts will likely go around to the back anyway. Yeah. And then the next race, it'll be the next group get in. Go ahead. And
I think it's really cool the way you actually have the way the ballast is going to be set up on the side for the go-karts. It's pretty offset for the go-karts to keep everything square and balanced.
Well, it's really good actually, because these karts, there's quite a lot of right side weight on these karts with the engine. Everything's on the right side, so except for the battery, which weighs basically nothing. So any weight you can put on the left to even it out is good,
especially in the rental karts where it's so heavy. I like it. I think it's going to be good, and it's drawn to the new karter, right? Like it's not something for experienced go-karters or anything like that.
Right. If you're experienced and you want to go do it, that's great. I mean, it's track time. It's it's equal racing. The one thing I do like about is because the equality of the equipment, it's driver ability that's going to get you the results, not the checkbook, not the better kart. I mean, inevitably, there are always some subtleties in karts. We know that. You can tune them all day long, but no two are alike. But they're really close. And we've got a great guy working with me to lead all that stuff. So I'm really, really excited about that. But it's really it's that first step after indoor karting or outdoor 4-stroke, corporate 4-stroke karting. Yeah. People want to get into it and try it, but they don't want to invest the money, or have to bother about, hauling a kart around or figuring out how to set it up. They get to the track, it's all been done for them. Everything is ready. They just pay the entry fee and go and race. They don't have to worry about tires or fuel, nothing.
And there's a ladder system with the Rotax program. It's not something that's going to be new to you. I mean, for the most part, you go buy a new Rotax package from a reputable motor builder or, somebody that you're going to be aligned with, and chances are you're going to be competitive, and you just need to drive correctly and you're going to be competitive. So that's
the one thing that's going to really raise eyebrows, I think, is that in this series, when it rains, we stay on slick tires.
Oh, and I think that's another thing that we didn't touch on either is all the races will be rain or shine.
Absolutely. So, it can be thundering and lightning, and we're going for it. So
so
it's really good. I mean, it's quite a daunting thought, to have 24 karts barreling off into turn 1 in the wet at Sonoma on slicks, but the people learn. And it's really interesting. In the UK a few years ago, the national championship, the Super One national championship, the Rotax part, the guys were from Club 100. Some of the racers who've been on slicks were in that race in the final, and it poured down with rain. Of course, they had wet tires, but they all just drove off because they're so used to driving on slicks in the rain. It was like a big gift, they were given these wet tires and they just disappeared. And people were just like, what's going on? How are these guys so good in the wet?
Are you going to cap each classification? Like, say you get 15 or 25 juniors and you say you get 40 seniors and 40 masters. I mean, is there a way that you're going to be able to want to cap?
Yeah, I mean, I think we get to the point there with the schedule. So, I mean, I think I mean, I'd love to have as many people as possible, but realistically, I'm hoping that's a 2026 problem and not a 2025 problem.
Yeah.
Because I will expand the fleet. I'd like to see how this goes and see how people enjoy it and hear what people have to say, and then we'll go from there. But I certainly could expand it to 2 days, and we can have juniors on one day and seniors on the other, and then we can run A and B finals, and do it like that. We'll just double it up. And I next year I could quite possibly we could have practice qualifying and then have 3 heats and a final that way. So the sky's the limit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think it looks fantastic. I know they drive well, so
they do. Yeah, they do. And when I remember when I drove it, I just recently drove it in Santa Maria because we were testing, and they really improved. The Birel have really improved the chassis since it first came out. I mean, it's night and day difference now. And they're really well balanced. They turn really, really well. I expected a mass loader understeer, and it's not like that at all. So really happy with that.
Part about it is you think it's classified as like most people look at it because it has the enclosed bumpers and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, that's a rental kart." It's really not. It's faster than you think.
Yeah, it's faster, and it looks like it's more of a heavy duty version of a sprint kart. And they're heavy. I mean, they're about 130 kilos. So,
and we touched earlier on the qualifying session being 15 minutes, which is different, I think, from anything else that we run here in NorCal, especially, but I think even in the States.
I think it's 10 minutes of practice and 5 minutes of qualifying, but there's no break in between. So when the 10 minutes of practice time is up, the track stays hot, but it then just changes to qualifying. So it's the last 5 minutes of that 15-minute block. And I think that gives people, especially newcomers, a chance to get the feel of the track, get some momentum going, and get some heat into the tires and just, keep their momentum as they go into qualifying. And that's one of the other reasons I didn't want to run heat races this year. I really wanted to do the lineup, honest way by qualifying, because I think it will sort itself out in the races. The more experienced people are going to obviously be at the front, but it will give people a chance to learn as they go and without tripping over people or being tripped over. I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
All right. We had a couple questions or topics comments that I wanted to bring up. So Ridgely, he's a local from Sonoma. Looks like a cool series, especially for those who need a progression path between full rental karting and professional karting. So we talked a little bit about who this series is for, and you mentioned it's a little bit, it's different from your traditional rental karts, but not necessarily the same as our competition karts. So let's kind of touch again on who this is for and how we can use this to get into karting.
Well, so let's say it's your K1 indoor karter or your outdoor corporate karter, or perhaps somebody who's done the Sonoma KRS 1 and 2 kart class, but they say, what now? What can I do now after this? And they don't want to buy a kart, or they don't want to invest in that kart, or perhaps they don't have the ability to store it or ship it or whatever. This is that step for them. They can step out of the indoor or corporate, arena and dip their toes into serious racing. I mean, it's a professionally run championship. I mean, don't be fooled by the fact that it's spec and arrive and drive. I mean, it's going to be everything that owning your own kart would be, except you don't own the kart. So, it's for new people to experience the sport, and we got arms wide open to welcome. That's the whole point. We want to reach people and bring them into the sport, make it affordable for people, and sustainable, that they could say, I think I could do a whole season here. And, it's going to be $595 for a round. You're looking at, about $5,000 or $6,000 to do a whole season, but that's a lot less than a whole season of owner driver karting, especially if you're serious and trying to attack some kind of national championship.
Wait. So you've already established the price point. It's going to
Yeah.
be 600. It's basically going to be $595 to show up on Saturday morning in Sonoma, be able to just bring my helmet bag with me and my driving shoes, jump in this go-kart and be evenly competitive and go run for a championship all day. I don't know nothing, and then at the end of the day, I gotta go home.
You can leave it on the grid, covered in dirt, and go home. Somebody else will clean it.
You can't for that. I mean, you can't beat the price. You can't beat the price point. And like you said, it's competitive. It's fast. It's fair, and there's something at the end of it, right? There's some sort of ladder program for it.
I mean, we've all seen, I think, and this is not, I don't want people to think of this as a criticism. It's just the way it is. But we've all seen what happens when you have a nice kart club with your locals that really love their racing and put everything into it. And then, a factory team comes in and uses the track for a practice weekend before a major event. And everybody's just left in the weeds, and no one could possibly compete with that kind of budget, or it's, you don't have to worry about any of that. You are guaranteed that your ability is going to do the talking with this, which is, I love that, because there's always, I just remember listening years ago to a Dale Earnhardt interview when somebody says, you're the best in America or whatever. And he said, no. There are thousands and thousands of people driving stock cars around this country. And there's loads of them that are better than I am. They've just never had a chance. And I think that's the same in karting. There's so many kids or young adults or drivers that have got so much ability that just don't have the means to do it. And I really want to make it so that they can.
All right, we had another comment is it's great they don't have a roll hoop and are fast. Need to get Bert's Brothers Motor Park to adopt these as a second arrive and drive class. Utah, what's up?
Maybe we'll come visit them. We'll come and visit them. Maybe we'll see. Stay tuned for that.
So let's transition into that a little bit. What are the long-term? Right now we're in California. Right now we're at Sonoma. What are the long-term goals that you have with this series?
So obviously, this is the first stop is California, and I want people to understand that although it's based now in Sonoma, or the workshop's here in Marina, actually near Monterey, but the series will start in Sonoma this year. It's going to be around the state. So, whether it's up in Redding or Dixon and Davis, Sonoma, Prairie City, maybe Reno, Santa Maria, and then down into the LA area, maybe at Adams, Buttonwillow, maybe some, I've got to solidify the calendar yet, but there's quite a lot of opportunities to take the thing so it becomes a statewide championship.
Okay.
And then, eventually, in other states as well. We'll see how this goes and have a good template from California, and then we'll look at different parts of the country. I'd love to have it in 5 or 6 areas and then basically have a national championship at the end of the year. So we have a national final, basically, which would be really cool. So there's that. I'm also looking at I'm planning a universities kart championship with this as well, so that all the California universities that want to get involved with driver clubs we can have a series that runs in the week, maybe 6 to 8 races a year. So that will bring a lot of people into the sport as well. There are a lot of universities with engineering programs or, things where people really like to do this. So that's another thing I'm looking at, to have a national universities championship.
That's awesome.
And then, there's nothing been announced yet, but, for this year, I'm anticipating something on a sort of a world platform in 2026. I think, there are other countries in the world doing this as well. There's the UAE, there's the UK. there's a host of countries that are joining this Rotax Racing Club, and hopefully we put that all together, and then there'll be some kind of international event, I hope. And so that, when that's confirmed, it will be announced, but that will be the prize at the end of the year for the juniors and the seniors. They'll have a ticket to this event, all paid for by Formula KFX, so they'll get that as well if they're the champion. So,
that's exciting.
Yes.
Something to look forward to.
Yes. Hopefully some announcements coming out with that.
Yeah, in the summer there'll definitely be something. And I think it's exciting, to be able thought of being able to race for a world championship.
Yeah.
I think that's really exciting. And again, this year there are only 4 races, so it's $2,400, $2,500 this year for the season.
Yeah. Let's go over the dates. Let's go over the dates while we brought up the 4 races. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier we have the August 16th date as a launch day. We have another launch day, September 6th.
Yes.
And then we go into the 4, right, which would be September 20th.
That's right.
October 11th.
Yep. November 15th.
November 15th and December 13th.
That's right.
So we're running in from fall to winter this year. And so this is sort of like Philip was saying, he's starting out in Sonoma and then hoping to branch out from there. But all these will be at Sonoma, correct?
They will. That's right.
Okay. And Saturday events as well. We talked a little bit about, we talked while we were off air, but talked a little bit about like race officials and stuff like that. Are we going to know who these people are? Are you bringing in these people from Rotax? Like what are we looking at sort of series wise?
They are people who are going to be very familiar with the local tracks. And that's something I really want to do is I want to provide work for local tracks. It's, supporting local tracks by bringing the series there. And also giving the people that work at those tracks work. If they certainly first right of refusal on work, even though they're all independent, as it were. I have a technical director, Bobby Wilson, who is former karting champion, national karting champion, and he was a Indy Lights racing driver. He's a winning Indy Lights racing driver. And now he's been a driver coach for karting. And he's coming to work with me here. So he's been here working with me, setting up all the karts, preparing everything. So he's really the head technical guy, and he'll be one of our driver coaches as well. And then we have a race director, Carl Fries is going to be our race director. And then just different staff, for different tracks, basically. So.
All right. And then, so what are we looking for? Like, will there be coaching available? Is it something that, you kind of sort of figure out while you get started? How's that going to work?
So I'll just back up just a little bit. So if you want to come and race in this series, if you haven't raced 2-stroke karts before or any kart before, you need to come and do a test session. It's a 30-minute session. They're available on between these 2 dates, the August 16th and September 6th. There are 10 sessions people could book into any one of those or more if they wanted. So, for example, on the August 16th launch day, the first sort of day, they can book a test session, and then there's also the option of signing up for the feature race on that day, which is a non-points race, just basically to experience driving the car. It's the same kind of format as a race would be in a championship round. And the same thing on September 6th. So that's one way of doing it. In that test session, the drivers out on track will be evaluated. We're not looking for track records. We're looking for, understanding how to drive the kart properly, consistency of racing line, consistency of lap time within, reason, and response to perhaps some coaching or some things to help, and we'll set a minimum lap time, like 107% or something. We'll set a bench, just so that it's safe. And so people don't feel, seriously overwhelmed when they're out there. So you need to do a test session, and they'll get the yay or nay whether they can come and race. Most people are going to pass it, but there's always a chance they may need a little bit more time. Driver coaching is available 1-to-1. So in those test sessions, they could have a coach as well. There'll be sort of like the general coaching going on. There'll be some individual as well. If people want 1-to-1 drivers coaching, they can book a test session on a race weekend or on a Monday at Sonoma, and we can organize that.
Okay.
Sure.
So I went to the FAQs on the Formula KFX.com website. We've answered pretty much most of them. I did want to ask, do you provide racewear?
That's the big question. No.
Okay.
No. That being said, I will have a couple, a handful of driver suits available. There's always an emergency or something happens. But, I know it's arrive and drive, but it's not K1. And this is not a bash on K1. It's not the same. It is a proper karting championship, and people need to come with their own helmet, their own attire, their own rib protector or whatever, neck brace, whatever. And we provide the seat inserts and the ballast, and people can buy the ballast if they want, so they have their own, and they can get it from us if it's the kart, or they can rent it every time they come. But no, they need to have their own racewear.
All right. That was what is a ballast is actually on the FAQs as well.
Yeah, so that's the weight block that you put on the karts. If people who don't know, it fits the karts. If you go back, perhaps actually to the kart pictures, where it's about and the karts on the website there, there is a picture of the weight post, isn't there? I think maybe a bit further down, maybe somewhere. There is somewhere, isn't there, a picture?
I thought it was just in the top of it, because I had to look at it too. I caught
there it is. It's that the top left picture. So I don't know if we can zoom in, but on the left side of the seat behind the battery, there are 2 weight posts there. And so the ballasts are round ballast blocks of either 5, 2, or 1 pound, and they go on that post with a hole in the middle, and they clipped on. There's a pin to keep them on. And yeah.
All right. So back to the FAQs. What is the registration fee?
So the registration fee it's basically an admin. It's a fee for the admin of the club. It's a Rotax Racing Club fee. It actually goes to Formula KFX, but it's for their admin, and it's to join the championship basically. And it's a one-time fee annually.
Okay. And then a good question that is on here is, do you have to compete in the full championship?
No, but I think if you want to win the championship, you do. But I think, no, you don't. There won't be any dropped races. I think a couple of people have said to me, oh, we're going to have dropped rounds. And I said, no, I don't think so. So, yeah, you do need to compete in the full thing if you want to go for the championship, but your people are very welcome to come and race for a round. It's on a first come first serve basis. So if all the seats are full, then they're full, but there'll be there'll be a waiting list, and then if there's a space that opens up or somebody cancels, I can offer a round to somebody.
I can tell you my Le Mans crew is going to come in hot over there. I can already see in the comments.
And then do you have to pay a registration fee to test?
No, you don't.
Okay.
No, that is just purely if you want to start racing in the championship rounds. That would be to do that.
All right. And then we kind of already talked about the driver coaching. Can you stay overnight at Sonoma in a tent or motorhome?
Yeah, I think so. I have to, get all that information from the raceway, but it's track specific. Most places are okay with it, but I
Yeah.
think I'd need to check with the track, and I would have that information for everybody.
I mean, most of the time it's just dry camping. There's no hookups or nothing
Right.
like that. But I
Right.
mean, it's just dry camping. But yeah, most of the time, I mean, if you come in like say late Friday night, you want to be there Saturday morning, or if you don't feel tired after the races, I think you can hang out and go home Sunday morning. I think that's going to be the best part about it being on a Saturday is you're going to be able to do those things, right? You're going to be able to have your Sunday to relax.
Right.
I gotta grab my charger.
And then, do you have to pay for all the races up front?
No, you don't. You do a deposit. So if let's say this year I want to race all 4 rounds. So you pay your registration fee and then a deposit for each round. And then 2 weeks before the round, you're charged for that round.
All right.
Yeah.
These are really good questions, by the way. What are the weight categories set at?
You better click it because I can't remember. I know what they are in kilos, but I can never do the pound.
Okay.
So yeah, it's and I want people to know, those are basically I think that's where they're going to be at. They match the Rotax, the RMC weights. Of course, those karts are a lot lighter and it's driver and kart together. But, it's roughly that ballpark, having spoken with them at Rotax and also in Club 100. So juniors, 132 pounds. And, that's a big leap all the way up to seniors to is it 165? I can't read without my glasses on.
Sorry.
I think I got to think about the ballast really carefully there because that's a lot of ballast. But I think we'll see about the juniors because that's the one with the big variation in it. And I'll look at the driver weights when people sign in, and if there's everybody, is like 135 already, I can move that up a little bit.
Okay.
All
right. And then, what is the minimum age for Formula KFX?
So juniors is 12, age 12. So that would be you need to be 12 years old.
Okay, you have to be 12, or you have to be turning 12 within the calendar year.
I'll say turning 12 within the year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if your birthday is on December 31st, you're going to be very young.
Okay, because I mean, my birthday was in February, so it didn't work. But one of my buddies, his birthday was in like the end of August, and we always moved up together. And it was like, you're a year younger than me, man.
And then, so on your website, formulakfx.com, you can register now. So there's 2 spots right here for register. And then what happens after you register online? Do you just show up and say I registered online? Or
so what will happen is people will register online here and they'll complete the form for what you can do. Actually, we could do one online so people could see if you want. Do you want to do one? So we can do like just do a senior.
Okay.
And click that and then and let's do the grand launch, the first thing. Let's do the first one. So at the top there, register. Okay. Yeah. And then it should take us to the form. There we go. So we can do your form, Ashley, and then
Ashley's first race.
Yeah. Contact details, what have you. How do you hear about it? And then you go down and there's those test sessions. So once you
okay.
Right. So you go down, you see those test sessions. So you're like, I want to do that. So let me get in the first one. I'm going to do the first test session. So you click that. And then you're like, actually, maybe I want to do 2. So I'd have a little break. So I could do test session 1 and 3. You could click, right? You do that. And then you see below, look, there's the option of doing a feature race as well. Wow. So I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm going to do that senior master feature race. And so in this event only, the seniors and the masters are mixed. We're not doing any ballast on these test
Okay.
days. This is just to experience the karts. So in order to do that feature race, you have to do one test session.
Okay.
That I do want people to know.
What's the cost for a test session?
$170.
For one session?
Yes, for a session. Yeah. And then the feature race is, I think, $480.
All right.
And that's basically the same as the championship round format.
Now, does the feature race include like a practice qualifying and a main?
Exactly. And 2 finals. Yeah, same.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's
All
the
right.
full thing. It's the full experience. So you get to experience what it's going to be like on on a race weekend.
And then you said, I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but you did say that in order to do the feature race on the launch day, you must do at least one practice session.
Yes, one test session. Yeah. And if people, a couple of guys have actually already registered for both launch days and have booked out 10 test sessions and 2 races already. And I called the guy up and I said, are you serious? You wanted to do all 5? He's like, oh, yes, definitely. I want to do all 5 test sessions and the race. I said, well, the 5th test is after the race. It's like an overflow test. He's like, I want to do it all. So,
right. Well, maximum drive time.
Great. But I'm like, oh, you maybe need a night in the hotel after. Yeah. So, and he's bringing a couple of buddies that are all doing the same thing. So, there's 3 guys there that are doing 15 test sessions between them, I think, or 30 test sessions between them. And
fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And they're really excited. So, but yeah, I think it's very important that from a safety standpoint as well, especially newcomers, they come up. If I would like to say as well, if somebody registered, online, I'm going to do a test session and a race. And then when they did this test session and they were evaluated, we didn't feel that they were up to speed or quite ready to race. They would be told that, but they would also get a full refund on their race entry fee. So it wouldn't be full. Yeah. And that open spot would then go to somebody on a waiting list or anybody who was perhaps there that hadn't perhaps chosen to do a race and then changed their mind and wanted to. So yeah, I wouldn't want to. They would definitely get the refund.
Okay.
All right. So as we finish up here a little bit, we're coming up on our hour. Go ahead. If there's any questions, put them in the comments so we can get them answered. We'll go through and check the comments and stuff after the live as well, just in case we missed anything on here. But any questions, you can put them in the comments. On the website, Formula KFX, there is a contact where there's a phone number, there's an email, again, we went through the frequently asked questions, plenty more information, downloads, and things that you guys can look at if you are interested. We'll put that link in the comments as well. But so from now, if you're hearing about this, you're interested, and this is something you want to do, you go and register formulakfx.com, and you get into one of these test sessions and feature races that Philip's talking about.
Of course.
We need more ballast for MD3. Yeah,
we don't have enough ballast for little Mikey. I'm sorry.
But so the website is very upfront. Again, the register contact. You can contact NorCal Karters, and we can help you get through all of the registration and stuff, and put you in contact with anybody that can answer your questions if we can't. But we're looking forward to it. It is going to be in August. The launch one's gonna be August 16th, and then it's gonna run from fall to winter. So a lot of the NorCal clubs and series are usually done by this period. So Sonoma is also an option now for the off season with these Formula KFX arrive and drive karts. Look, do you want to close us out a little bit with any other information that I may have missed, and then just let us as we close?
Sure. I just want to say I want everybody to feel welcome. Come try it. It's really exciting. I think the series is great. The racing is great. Obviously we haven't done this here in the US, but it's born out of Club 100 in the UK. So if you want to check out, what it's like, go on Club 100's website in the UK. I think it's club100.co.uk. And they've got loads of media footage of their races and their live streams. And you'll see, the big fields, and, they've got over 3,000 drivers in their kart club now. So they've got running 19 different championships on these karts all around the country and also into Europe. And they've got, big fields of 50, 60, 70 drivers, split into 3 groups. So, they've been really successful, but the racing is really, really cool. And there's some really great racing drivers coming out of there. So, I want to recreate that here. And as I said, make opportunities for people.
All right. We did have a question. Mini Max, question mark?
Coming soon.
Okay, and that I did want to touch on that. You did say earlier that you were going to adapt with the NT32 chassis, which is the shorter version for the cadet kids, right?
Yes,
and
you'll see these pictures, Josh, of this karts on the website that's up on the screen at the moment. There's no wraparound on those.
Yes.
They're open. This kart is actually available with a wraparound, but I really wanted it to resemble a traditional sprint car as much as possible. The cadets, however, would have a wraparound.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
And they'll have the Micromax or Minimax on there. Sorry.
And what will be the age classification for the cadets?
7 to 11.
Oh wow, that's cool. All in one class, so you won't split like a mini micro. It'll just be one cadet classification.
It'll be the cadets, yeah. And it's that I'll need to look at that. Probably divide the weight categories there.
Yeah,
class M, class B for weight. There's a lot of difference between a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old or 11-year-old. So
for sure.
All right, we got some junior and cadets. Looking forward to that. Again, the website formulakfx.com for registration, more information, and you can also ask NorCal Karters, and we can help you as best we can get you in contact with Formula KFX. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Philip. It was awesome having you on and hearing about Rotax returning to NorCal. And we look forward to hearing more about race reports and stuff as the series starts and stuff like that, and showcasing all of those all the cool kids that are testing it out and joining us in the rental cart, out of rental cart, next step out of rental carts. But this is something that we're looking forward to, and because again, Josh and I were around in Sonoma with Rotax, so the return is coming, and we're excited.
I have to say, on behalf of Rotax, they're so thrilled to be doing this, and I really love the company. I mean, they're really great people. They really, really care about giving back and making opportunities and finding talented drivers and making it affordable. As you know, motorsports is so cost prohibitive in so many areas, and so I think this is a great opportunity for people, and I wish it had been around when I was a kid. That's for sure.
All right, Philip. Well, we look forward to having you on again.
Well,
Thanks
thank
so
you
much
both.
for joining us
Thank you.
tonight, and we will see you later.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Night. Thank you.
All right. So again, the website Formula KFX is in the comments. Our little closing reminders before we sign off. IKF Grand Nationals / West Coast Karting GP, hosted by NCK Road Racing, is going to be at Las Vegas Motor Speedway September 12th through 14th. You can find more information at nckroadracing.com, including registration info. I don't know if it's still open yet, but nckroadracing.com is where I would start looking. Another reminder, we are going to be hosting the second Colby Dubato Memorial Race. By we, I mean CCKRA at Santa Maria. And it's going to be August 10th. And there is a $5,000 prize guaranteed for Senior 100cc. We are still fundraising for the Senior 206 cash prize. More information, go to cckra.com. And again, want to remind you that the first 206, the inaugural 206 Briggs Shootout will be happening at Challenge of the Americas in Utah this weekend. And that's where we will be. So come say hi. And we hope to see you there. 2 things, like and subscribe, because we're almost at 2,000 followers on each platform, both Facebook and YouTube. The more followers we get, the bigger our platform is going to get, and the bigger the information, the more people our information is going to get to. So hope to see you guys around. Again, I'm going to end with, if we all bring one person into our sport, we will double by next year. Okay. Hope to see everybody in Utah. Peace, NorCal.
See y'all in Utah.
All right. Good night, NorCal.